My sister slid a basket of free bread in front of my 6-year-old son and told him to fill up because we couldn't afford real food. Then she ordered Wagyu beef and lobster for her own twins, mocking me for being a broke freelancer in front of our parents. She sat there drinking expensive wine, thinking she was the queen of the table. She had no idea that I had secretly authorized my credit card to pay for the entire dinner as a surprise. But after she humiliated my child, I texted the manager to cancel the payment. I ordered my son a $300 steak, pulled my funding, and left her with a $4,000 bill she couldn't pay. The bread basket hit the table with a soft thud. It was the free starter sourdough rolls and whipped butter at the Gilded Fork, one of the most expensive steakhouses in the city. My sister Sarah immediately grabbed the basket and slid it in front of my 6-year-old son, Leo. "Here you go, buddy," Sarah said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Fill up on this. It's the best part, right?" I frowned, adjusting my napkin. "Sarah, don't fill him up on bread. We haven't even ordered yet." "Oh, don't worry about it," she waved her hand dismissively. "He's a kid. He doesn't know the difference. My name is Clara, and for the last 5 years, my family has treated me like the charity case. I'm a single mom. I work as a freelance graphic designer, which my parents interpret as unemployed. My sister, Sarah, married an investment banker named Todd. They live in a McMansion, drive Teslas, and never let me forget that I live in a 2-bedroom apartment. What they don't know, what I have explicitly kept from them, is that my freelance work isn't making flyers for lost cats. I own a digital design agency with 12 employees. I just landed a contract with a major tech firm worth $3 million. I stay in my apartment because I like it, and I drive my old Toyota because it runs. I have more money in my savings account than Sarah and Todd have in their entire portfolio, but I keep my mouth shut. I wanted to know they loved me for me, not my wallet. Tonight was supposed to be a family celebration for my dad's retirement. Sarah had chosen the restaurant, naturally. She loved places with white tablecloths and menus without prices. "Let's order," Sarah announced when the waiter arrived. She pointed to her twin sons, Braden and Jaden, who were 8 years old and currently throwing sugar packets at each other. "The boys will have the Wagyu beef sliders," Sarah said, "and add the truffle fries. Oh, and 2 virgin mojitos." The waiter nodded. "Excellent choice. And for the other young man?" He looked at Leo, who was sitting quietly, clutching his menu. "I want the steak too, Mom," Leo whispered to me. "Like Braden." Before I could speak, Sarah laughed. A sharp, cruel sound. "Oh, no," she said to the waiter. "He's fine. We aren't ordering for him." I froze. "Excuse me?" "Clara, look at the prices," Sarah whispered loudly, leaning across the table. "The kid's steak is $45. You can't afford that. And I'm not covering it. Todd and I are already paying for Mom and Dad. We can't support your ... situation ... tonight." "My situation?" I asked, my voice trembling. "You know what I mean. Just let him eat the bread. It's free. And maybe he can have some of my side salad later. He needs to learn to be grateful for what he gets." My parents sat there, saying nothing. My dad looked uncomfortable, but my mom gave me a look that said, "Don't make a scene, Clara. Sarah is paying." "I can pay for my son," I said, reaching for my purse. "With what?" Sarah scoffed. "Food stamps? Put your wallet away, Clara. It's embarrassing. Just let him eat the rolls. He's 6. He doesn't need steak." She turned back to the waiter. "Just the bread for him. And keep the basket coming. He has a big appetite." The waiter looked at me, his eyes full of pity. I felt my face burn hot with shame. Not because I couldn't afford it, but because my sister was publicly humiliating my child to make herself feel rich. I looked at Leo. He had put his menu down. He was holding a piece of bread, looking at his cousins who were high-fiving about their Wagyu. He looked small. He looked like he understood exactly where he stood in the family hierarchy. "Okay," I said softly. "You're right, Sarah. I won't order him the kid steak." Sarah smirked. "See? Was that so hard? It takes a village, Clara, but the village isn't made of money." "I'll have the tomahawk ribeye," Sarah ordered for herself. "Medium rare. And a bottle of your most expensive Cabernet for the table." I sat there, watching them laugh and toast to Dad's retirement. I watched Sarah hand Leo another roll, patting him on the head like a stray dog. She thought she was the queen of the table because she had the credit card. She didn't know that earlier that afternoon, I had called the restaurant. I had given them my credit card information. I had told them to keep it on file, because I wanted to treat my family to a surprise retirement dinner for Dad. I was going to pay the entire bill anonymously. Sarah wasn't paying for anything. I was. Or at least I was going to. I looked at my son chewing on dry bread while his cousins waited for $100 sliders. I pulled out my phone. I opened the restaurant's reservation email. I found the number for the front of house. Sarah wanted to talk about who could afford what. Fine, let's talk about it. I texted the manager directly. I had his personal number because my agency designed their website last year. "Hi, Marco. It's Clara. I'm at table 4. Marco, Ms. Miller. So good to have you. Is everything to your liking?" Me. "No. There's been a change of plans regarding the bill." I watched the 3 dots appear on my phone screen as Marco typed his reply. "Marco, change of plans. You authorized the full bill for the retirement party up to $5,000. Do you want to cancel the surprise?" I looked across the table. Sarah was taking a selfie with her wine glass, making sure the expensive label was visible. My dad was looking at the menu, trying to find the cheapest entree because he felt guilty, even though he thought Sarah was paying. My mom was busy cooing over Sarah's twins, completely ignoring Leo, who was quietly dipping his third piece of bread into a plastic cup of water. I typed back, "Cancel the authorization for the table. Split the check. I will pay for myself and my son. The rest of the party is the responsibility of the person who claimed they were treating Sarah." Marco. "Understood. Anything else?" Me. "Yes. Send the sommelier. And tell the waiter to come back. Leo is still hungry." I put my phone down. "Waiter?" I called out. The waiter, who had been hovering nervously nearby, rushed over. "Yes, ma'am." "My son is still hungry," I said, my voice projecting clearly over the restaurant chatter. "The bread isn't going to cut it." Sarah rolled her eyes so hard I thought they might get stuck. "Clara, stop it. You are embarrassing us. I told you I am not paying for a $40 kid's meal. If you order it, you are washing dishes tonight." "I don't recall asking you to pay," I said coolly. I turned to the waiter. "What is your best steak? Not the sliders. The real steak." The waiter blinked. "Well, we have the A5 Japanese Wagyu ribeye. It is imported. It melts in your mouth." "Perfect," I said. "He'll have that. Medium rare. And?" the waiter asked, his pen hovering. "And add the lobster tail," I said. "The jumbo one. And a side of the truffle mac and cheese." The table went silent. Sarah dropped her fork. Her husband, Todd, looked up from his phone. Even my parents stared at me with open mouths. "Clara," my mother hissed. "Have you lost your mind? That is a $300 meal." "Is it?" I asked, looking at my nails. "I didn't check the price." "You can't afford that," Sarah practically shouted. "You are going to ruin this night." When the bill comes and your card declines, do not look at me to bail you out. I am serious, Clara. I will leave you here. I wouldn't dream of asking you for help, Sarah, I said. In fact, I insist you save your money. You might need it. What is that supposed to mean? She snapped. It means my son wants steak, I said. And unlike you, I don't believe in feeding children scraps while I eat ribeye. The food arrived 20 minutes later. It was a spectacle. The waiter placed a massive sizzling stone platter in front of Leo. The Wagyu beef was marbled perfection. The lobster tail was the size of his forearm. The smell of truffle oil filled the air. Sarah's twins, Brayden and Jaden, looked at their sliders, which suddenly looked very small and dry, and then at Leo's feast. Mom, Brayden whined. Why does he get the big steak? I want the lobster. Yeah, Jaden shouted. It's not fair. You said he was poor. My father choked on his water. My mother turned purple. Hush, boys, Sarah said through gritted teeth. Your aunt is being irresponsible. She is spending rent money on food to show off. It's pathetic. Eat your sliders. Leo looked at me, his eyes wide. Mum, is this really for me? It sure is, baby, I smiled. Eat up. You deserve the best. Leo took a bite of the Wagyu. His face lit up. It tastes like butter. I ordered a glass of champagne for myself. The vintage Dom Perignon. Not the house sparkling wine Sarah had ordered for the table. When the sommelier poured it, Sarah watched with a mixture of greed and confusion. Since when do you drink Dom? She asked snidely. Since I developed a taste for it, I said. Cheers to retirement, Dad. The dinner continued in a strange, tense atmosphere. Sarah tried to regain control of the conversation, bragging about Todd's bonus and their upcoming trip to Aspen. But every time she spoke, her eyes flickered over to Leo, who was happily devouring a meal that cost more than her car payment. She couldn't understand it. In her mind, I was the failure. I was the cautionary tale. The math wasn't mathing. Finally, the meal ended. The table was cleared. Well, Sarah announced loudly, patting her stomach. That was lovely. Todd, get the check. We'll cover Mom and Dad as promised. She looked at me. I hope you enjoyed your foolish splurge, Clara. The waiter is bringing separate checks, I assume, since you decided to go rogue. I already asked for separate checks, I said. The waiter arrived. He carried 2 leather folders. He placed one thin folder in front of me. He placed a very thick, heavy folder in front of Sarah. Sarah opened hers with a flourish, pulling out her husband's platinum credit card before she even looked at the total. She wanted to make sure everyone saw the card. It's on us. She beamed at my parents. Happy retirement. She glanced down at the bill. Her smile faltered. She squinted. She pulled the paper closer. Excuse me, Sarah said to the waiter, her voice rising an octave. There's a mistake. Ma'am? The waiter asked politely. This bill, she poked the paper. It says $4,000. Yes, ma'am. For the tomahawk steaks, the appetizers, the 3 bottles of wine, the desserts, and the private room fee. Private room fee? Sarah shrieked. We didn't book a private room. The main dining room was full, the waiter explained. When the reservation was made under the premium party package, the private room is automatically included. It's a $500 surcharge. I didn't book a package, Sarah yelled. I just made a reservation. Actually, I interrupted, sipping the last of my champagne. The reservation was made under my name originally. I upgraded us to the premium package because I wanted Dad to have privacy. You? Sarah glared at me. Well, you can pay for the room fee then. I don't think so, I said calm as ice. You uninvited me from the family portion of the dinner, remember? You said you and Todd were handling it. You wanted the credit? You get the bill. I am not paying $4,000. Sarah screamed. Todd, look at this. Todd looked at the bill. He looked pale. Sarah ... The card is almost maxed out from the Tesla repairs. It might not run. What? Sarah hissed. You said you paid it down. I tried. But the interest rates ... double quotes. My parents looked horrified. The facade of the wealthy, successful daughter was cracking right in front of them. Is there a problem? The waiter asked, his voice losing some of its warmth. No problem, I said, opening my own folder. Inside was a bill for $450, Leo's steak, and my champagne. I placed my black anodized metal card, the kind you have to be invited to own on the tray. Sarah saw the card. The heavy thunk it made on the table was unmistakable. Is that ... Todd stared at my card. Is that a Centurion card? It is, I said. Those have a minimum spend of like hundreds of thousands a year, Todd whispered, looking at me with new eyes. Clara? Mom asked, her voice trembling. Where did you get that card? From my bank, I said. It's linked to my business account. Your business? Sarah scoffed, though she looked terrified. You make flyers. I own a digital design firm with 12 employees and a $3 million contract with Google, I said, finally dropping the bomb. I don't freelance, Sarah. I run an empire. I just didn't feel the need to brag about it to people who judge me by my shoes. The silence was deafening. Now, I said, standing up and taking Leo's hand. It seems like you have a bill to pay. And since you wouldn't buy my son a bread roll, I assume you don't expect me to cover your $4,000 mistake. Clara, wait. Dad stood up. You're rich. I'm comfortable, I corrected. And I'm leaving. Please. Sarah was crying now, the arrogance completely gone. The card won't go through. They'll call the police. Just ... just put it on your card. You can afford it. We're family. I looked at her. I looked at the sister who had starved my son to feed her ego. You're right, I said. I can afford it. I leaned in close. But the bread was free, Sarah. And that's all you're getting from me tonight. I walked toward the door with Leo. Mummy, Leo asked loud enough for them to hear. Are they in trouble? Yes, baby, I said. They ordered more than they could eat. I thought I would leave them there to wash dishes. But as I reached the door, Marco, the manager, stopped me. Ms. Miller, he whispered. Their card declined. I figured, I said. Should I call the authorities? I looked back at my family. My parents looked ashamed. Sarah was sobbing. Todd was arguing with the waiter. I had a choice. I could destroy them completely, or I could teach them a lesson they would never forget. Should I call the authorities? Marco asked again, his hand hovering over his phone. I looked at my parents. My mother was clutching her pearls, looking terrified. My father looked older than I had ever seen him. They were enablers. Yes, they had let Sarah bully me for years. But they were old. And I didn't want them spending the night in a precinct waiting room. Because my sister was a narcissist. Marco, I said quietly, calculate the cost of my parents' meals. The appetizers they ate, their entrees, and their drinks. Marco tapped on his tablet. That comes to about $400, Ms. Miller. Add it to my bill, I said. I'll cover them. Sarah's face lit up with relief. Oh, thank God. Okay, so you're paying. Thank you, Clara. I knew you wouldn't. I'm paying for Mom and Dad, I interrupted, my voice sharp. Not you. Not Todd. Not the twins. And definitely not the private room fee, or the 3 bottles of wine you ordered. Sarah's relief vanished, replaced by panic. But the rest is still over $3,000. We can't pay that. Then I guess you'll have to wash dishes, I said. Or maybe call one of those rich friends you're always bragging about. I'm sure they'd love to bail you out. Clara, please. Mom cried. You can't leave your sister here. She wanted to be the big shot, I told my mother. She wanted to humiliate my son with a breadbasket while her kids ate Wagyu. She wanted to teach Leo a lesson about knowing his place. Well, I'm teaching her a lesson about knowing her bank balance. I turned to Marco. My parents are free to go. The rest of the party. Do whatever is standard protocol for theft of services. I walked out. I didn't look back, but I heard the shouting start as the heavy oak doors closed behind me. I drove Leo home. We stopped for ice cream on the way. He fell asleep in the car with a smile on his face, his belly full of steak and sugar. I found out later what happened. Todd had to leave his Rolex as collateral. They had to call Torva's father, a man they were terrified of, to come down and pay the bill with his credit card. He apparently lectured them in the lobby for 20 minutes about living beyond their means. It was the humiliation of the century. The next morning, my phone blew up, not with angry texts, but with apologies. My dad called first. Clara, he said, his voice humble. I didn't know. About your business. About the money. Would it have mattered? I asked. If I was still poor, would it have been okay for Sarah to treat Leo like that? No, he admitted. It wasn't okay. We should have stopped it. We were just used to her being in charge. Well, she's not in charge anymore, I said. Sarah didn't call. She sent a long, rambling email blaming the restaurant, blaming Todd, blaming me for ambushing her. She took zero responsibility. I didn't reply. I just forwarded the email to my assistant with a note. File under Do Not Contact. A week later, I was working in my office when my receptionist buzzed me. Ms. Miller, there's a delivery for you. It was a package from my parents. Inside was a framed photo of me and Leo, and a note. We are sorry. We are proud of you. Not because of the money, but because you stood up for your son. We want to do better. It wasn't a perfect fix. Years of favoritism don't vanish overnight. But the dynamic had shifted. When I went to family dinner 2 weeks later, Sarah was there. She was quiet. She didn't brag. And when the breadbasket came, she didn't touch it. She looked at me, then at Leo. She said stiffly, Do you want the first roll? Leo looked at me for permission. I nodded. No thanks, Aunt Sarah, Leo said cheerfully. Mommy said we're getting pizza later, with extra pepperoni. I smiled. I realized then that I didn't need their validation. I didn't need them to think I was rich to be worthy. I had built a life, a business, and a family of 2 that was stronger than anything May had. Sarah could keep her leased Teslas and her fake status. I had the truth. And the truth tasted a lot better than free bread. If you loved watching Clara serve justice to her entitled sister, smash that like button. And here is a question for you. If your sibling humiliated your child in public, would you have paid their bill to save the family drama? Or let them face the consequences like Clara did? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories of justice served.